Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
So, hey, time me. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah,
Hey,
let's
I'm
do it.
Jess. This is Ramon. What we're doing is we're running a free boot camp built around the free code camp curriculum. If you want to join us, there's a Discord, hit the Discord. And if you want to participate and stick around with us and learn in the videos will never go away, by the way. Go to youtube.com/@badwebsiteclub. If you want to join us, there is a code of conduct that you have to follow. And if you see somebody making you uncomfortable or making somebody else uncomfortable or something feels weird, just come and get me or Ramon and we got you. We are more than halfway through the JavaScript curriculum and we are doing a statistics calculator.
That was amazing.
I've been watching a
Um,
bunch of like programmer YouTubes and they all talk that fast. It's
oh,
like
I mean,
smash like and subscribe.
I don't think I don't think I have it in me to do like the jump cuts as well.
And the big
Um,
expressions. Mm,
the
I'm good.
thumbnails.
I'm
Oh
done.
my goodness.
Oh, I see somebody saying they missed yesterday and they're behind. Sweetie, my love. Sorry, that's very familiar. The big thing now that we're back to a normal speed is there are no deadlines. There's no time you have to finish this. You are
Yeah.
absolutely not behind. We run live every day up until for 3.5 more weeks. But the videos won't go away and Discord won't go away. We do not expect you to finish in a couple weeks.
2.5 weeks.
No, it's not 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
No, wait, you start explaining
Sorry.
this, I'm gonna look at a calendar, and then in a minute, I'll be like, "Well, you were right."
So today we're going to be learning some advanced array methods, some of which we know, some of which we will learn, and we will see how they interact with one another by way of building a statistics calculator. I have to say, statistics was one of my worst school subjects. Actually, one of the reasons I haven't graduated from university yet is because of a statistics. Actually, the course is called Statistik und Wahrscheinlichkeitstheorie, Statistics and Probability Theory, which is tough if it's not your first language. Anyway,
Right? Oh, you're doing that in German? No, no.
yeah.
I'm just gonna remove my manager from the shot as well. Sir,
Um,
causing a scene.
So the way this works, what we're building today, we've got a series of numbers that we can put into this text field, and it'll give us these different types of statistic values for them. So we'll see, for example, the mean is the list of a list of numbers is the average. So we take all of the sum of all the numbers and dividing it by the amount of numbers. So 2 plus 9 plus 15 plus 2 plus 5 divided by 5 is 6.6.
Okay.
The median is the value of the one right in the middle when we sort from least to greatest. So the median of this list is 5. Sorry.
Spoiler, I could see an array in that future.
Oh, there's definitely some array involvement here. The mode is the number that appears the most often, which is 2. The range is how far are from the mean on average. So on average, the values are
So I
sorry,
think the
no.
range I got you. The range is how much distance is between how many values there are between the smallest and the largest.
Correct. And now the variance is how far the values are from the mean on average. So that's
Which
24
has a
point.
concept I totally understand it's fine. Oh, I'm so glad we didn't
And
get Stuart to do this with us.
yeah,
He'd be way too
I'm not
excited.
good.
It would be on yeah, oof, oof.
I'll be honest, this is not my forte, but like here I'm just being told what numbers to calculate and I will calculate them. Oftentimes, like with my daily work, I have to for instance, work on some complicated electronic stuff, like for an app, and I don't understand half of that stuff. They just tell me what values to display and where. Finally, the standard deviation is the square root of that variance. So that is what number times itself is equals to the variance. So for this app, we're just going to worry about calculating these different values.
Cool. So it can't hurt us.
No.
What can hurt us is the logic we need.
Correct. But in terms of setup, all of our HTML and CSS has been provided. We've got IDs that we'll be working with. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at it because the first thing we need to do is create a function called const calculate.
That's going to be set to an empty function. We could do the arrow function, I guess, if we want to be, if we want to show off.
We can do a function.
No, no, I like, I slightly prefer a function, but we've been working with arrow functions for most of the end of this course, which, by the way, is roughly 3 weeks to go, 3.5 weeks to go.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
I am very, very not used to being right.
Now, this is something very important to bear in mind. This function calculate is being run when we submit the form. Just like we do with onClick, we can write the JavaScript in here.
Okay.
So in fact, if I call it now, let's console log. If I submit, we can see it prints out hello.
Okay. And that's all we've asked the function to do so far. We haven't done too much of the scary stuff yet.
Nah.
For spoilers, the new stuff will start to hit us. What?
It wants an arrow function.
I said.
You were right.
Both of them do the same thing, but it's been asking us to stick with this for a little bit. This is going to feel a little samey, so we'll go a little fast up until about step 10, where we'll hit some new stuff.
Fantastic. So
Cool.
we need to get the number that's inserted in here. Great. Let's get a variable called value is equals to
the queries document get element. Oh, document.query selector, not get element. I got very used to the muscle memory of get element by ID, huh?
Yeah. Same. So we'll get that query, we'll get that element, and we will retrieve its value.
Stephen, that's a super heckin' good question. We're going to come to this at the end if it's not a bother.
So.
Was that small pop sound you or in my brain?
No, that was me. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it was delightful. I did not expect like a bubble fighting video game sound out loud, and I could not bear that being so cute and real. So we're going to use the split method, which we've definitely seen before. We've seen no regex. Yeah, being provided the regex. Okay, that was a journey.
So here's the thing. We need to split these comma separated numbers into a series of strings. Now we could use string.split with a comma to get those numbers, but maybe they'll have spaces, maybe they won't. And in this kind of uncertainty, we're going to be using a regex. So we will const array, that's the array of numbers, is going to be set to value. Remember, that's the string value in here, dot split. And we're going to split it using this regex, which looks, sorry.
They've given us the regular express. Oh, wait, I think I know what this means. So the slashes are telling us what character to split on.
The slashes are the beginning and the end of the regex.
Yes. Oh, I don't remember. So the G is global. Like, give me all of the ones you see.
Yeah, find all of the instances of this regex, all of the matches.
What was the S star?
So \S is a space. Any kind of space can be a tab, can be a space. It can be other kinds of spaces. The star means 0 or more. So it's saying, hey, see if you can split this up by commas followed by 0 or more spaces.
Okay. Oh, fab.
Yeah. Let's console log it because I don't trust it.
I mean, to be fair, I don't trust anything.
So for example, I'm going to put a lot of spaces here on the 15. So check it out. There's the 2. It matched 1 or more spaces following a comma. The 9 Then it said, hey, there's a comma followed by several spaces. Let's split that up as well. So now we have a list of numbers, but these numbers aren't numbers, are they?
There's still a string.
Correct. So each of these is
Oh,
a string.
yeah. I bet I know what we're going to do next is we're going to turn them into
Okay.
numbers.
You bet.
How fast can you go?
I'll do it. Yes. So this boot camp is free. Free Code Camp is free. But they're an NGO. They depend on donations. If you can, if you want to, you can come back later. You don't have to spend money you don't have. Come back and donate a couple dollars a month. We'll go ahead and click on Ask Me Later.
It's just a nice thing to do.
Jane, I want to address this question real quick, if I may. Because there's no comma. Remember, it's matching a comma followed by one or more spaces. Mehmet's
Oh,
asking, why didn't we put it in square brackets? We shouldn't put it in square brackets.
so
Regex
it's
is
not
always
an array
going.
yet. So I briefly had this thought as well. So, we've said it's an array. Why isn't it in the square brackets for an array? And I think we probably have to
Because
do another step to turn it.
no, go for it.
I think we have to do a little bit more work before it's an array.
No, it is an array.
Is it an array
Check it
now?
out.
Okay.
Console log array. Value.split returns an array.
Oh, okay. Cool.
See, that's an
Oh,
array
the square brackets
of.
exist in our hearts.
Yes. So Mehmet's asking, why didn't we put the regular expression in square brackets? We always define regular expressions with the forward slashes. You're probably thinking of square brackets to denote inside a regular expression, one or the other. But we're not doing one or the other. We're saying very specifically, comma separated by 0 or more spaces. Now, what are we doing now?
So
We're
we're going
going
to be
to use.
using
Yeah.
we're going to be using array.map, which I believe you taught on one day where I wasn't here, and definitely not goofing off and playing video games.
So we're going to be using map to create a new array from the original array.
I'm seeing a couple questions. I'm just going to hold on to those. We're not ignoring y'all.
Yep. Cool. So we've defined a new variable called numbers, and it's going to be set to array.map. Wait, what is numbers right now? I just want to
Yeah.
see.
I think it's going to be undefined if there's nothing in it. Wait.
Correct. I bet we're going to be doing something now. So remember that map takes as a parameter a function, and this function is a callback that manipulates and returns a new member of that array for each member of the original array. Wait, what? Tell you what. Let's not do any of what this is saying to us. Let's do my favorite thing in the world. Hop over to Python Tutor.
Is
Oops.
it your favorite thing in the world? Is it?
It really is. Let's use map.
This seems like a really useful tool that you should be telling everybody about.
It's so good. So we have an array of numbers called numbers, 7, 5, and 4. This new variable called times2 is going to be set to be the return value of calling map on numbers with the value with the parameter of the argument, pardon me, of a callback that takes each number and multiplies it by 2. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. So there's our numbers. So we'll start with 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 5 times 2 is 10. And 4 times 2 is 8. So it returned 14, 10, and 8.
Okay.
Now that map is done, it's going to take each of those values, each of those return values, and assign them to a new array.
Okay. So the output of map is an array.
Correct. That
Cool.
corresponds to each original value. So what we're going to be doing here, remember, array is an array of strings. If we want to take each string and convert it into a number.
To num, isn't it?
No, it's the number constructor.
The number constructor, thank you. Oh, the number constructor, the number constructor.
So that takes a string and turns it into a number. Let's try it out. Now, it's an array of numbers.
For learners, not you, how can we tell that these are numbers and not strings? Ha ha ha. Sorry, we can keep going.
You're totally good. I have a different question. What if I put in a name like Florencia?
I think we'll
What
get
happens?
an undefined. Jane's got me. She's like, there's no quote marks. We know that's not a string. Jess, you hush. Krista, everybody's
Check
just
out
like, no quote marks. No single quote. Very specific, Lisa. Oh, not a number.
what happened.
So,
Yeah. So we got nan, which means not a number, because Florencia is not a number.
she's not.
There we go. Let's keep going. Our map method should have a callback function which takes an element parameter. Sorry, I called it str. It should be el. It's the same
You
thing.
know what?
Isn't it?
Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. Naming. Oh, y'all are here all the time that naming is the hardest thing in programming. I find that keeping cats off your desk is a bit harder.
Now,
okay. Oh, so this
just
is
like what
new.
happened. Yeah. Well, actually, we've done filter before.
We've done filter. I mean,
So-
I was definitely paying attention, so it's not new to me.
You're fine. So here's the problem. Number, as we saw with Florencia, will give nan if that string, such as Florencia, is not a number. So what we're going to do is filter out all of the numbers that are not nan. In order
cool.
to do that,
Const
new variable called-
filtered
Yep.
equals numbers dot filter, and that's it.
not yet. Just
Okay,
like
I was
map,
going to say that
filter
feels a
takes
little bit
callback.
easier. Fair. So the callback in there is going to be something we do the next step.
Correct. Now, we have a method on like numbers or values have a method called isNan. Right? So if something is nan, it'll return true.
Oh, and Stephen points out that this is a double negative problem. It's true that it's not a number.
Correct. But it gets a little bit messier because remember, filter will leave in if we have a callback. Is it?
Yeah.
What do we want to call it? Is it called EL? I'll call it EL just to make. So it's going to leave it in if the value that the filter callback returns is truthy. So
Okay.
when this is true, it'll stay in filtered. When it is false, it will stay out of filtered.
Okay. Kirsten
hold
makes
on.
us all. Now, Kirsten, I'm going to pick on you real fast, and it's going to seem mean, but I tell a lot of learners, like, hey, it sounds weird, but this will make sense when you do it long enough. Kirsten's
Yep.
saying, look, I'm getting callbacks just by doing them enough times. It feels like telling somebody they'll understand something when they're older, but it's also true.
So we're going to filter out all of the ones that are nan. Oh, sorry. Did I do it wrong? Is it is nan? And then it takes that as a argument.
So
Now let me double check that. We've done that before. Because nan is not equal to itself, instead you can use the isNan method, which returns true if the argument is nan. Did I spelled it wrong?
what do you spell wrong? Oh my gosh, does it take a big N?
Now, that's just giving me nan. The problem is we don't want to filter out the ones that are nan, we want to filter out the ones that are not nan.
So not. So we need a okay. So what we had before would take away everything that isn't a number. Now it's filtering the things that are numbers.
Correct.
Cool. And
So,
if this logic feels weird, try it one way, see what it outputs,
yeah.
and then reverse it.
Now it's leaving in the ones that are not a number. So all of the ones that are not a number are numbers. 2 negatives make a positive. Cool. Let's keep going. Now, and we've done this before as well, we can actually chain these values. Because remember, we can call map on an array, which returns an array. So we can call filter on that result array.
Okay. So, and this looks like a chain. It looks like a little bit of bracelet, a loop, a little. So, okay.
What I can do is instead of having this variable filtered, I can just select everything up until here and delete. Array map and then filter. And we're doing that in one line.
Okay. So this does the same thing. This is just putting the two of those together and making them feel a little bit more compact.
Correct.
So this seems unfair because so far this feels like a lot of hard stuff. And now we've got hard stuff coming up.
Everything's fine. We'll take it step by step. And remember, folks, if you start falling behind, and we're going too fast, remember that this is all recorded.
Yeah.
Now,
Ah, I love
it's
this. We get to get mean.
So
Excuse me.
this function getMean will take as a parameter the array. Am I doing this right? I am not. There we go. Cool. So it takes an array of numbers.
Okay.
Now, before we look at the instructions, remember at the right up here on how we calculate the mean. You take the sum of all the numbers and you divide it by the count, the length of the array.
I got you. Yeah.
So the first thing we need to do is sum up all of the numbers in the array. And we're going to be doing that using a new function.
Because like me, I would like loop through them for like for each in because we already learned that. And I love stuff I already learned.
Yeah.
But we're going to try this
What we're
new
going to
reduce.
Yes, and reduce is a new array function that we'll be learning, which essentially boils down to taking an array and reducing it into a single value. And that value
So,
can be anything. Yes.
oh no, sorry. I was gonna say I had a really hard time with reduce because it sounds like you're gonna be subtracting them from each other. But with
Yeah.
reduce, all it cares about is the process of getting to a single value. And that
Yeah.
could be that you add them together if they're numbers. It could be that you divide them. It could be that you modulo them. If it's a string, it could be that you concatenate them.
Yep.
It's just about I have an array and I want it down to one value, and I'll tell you how to get there.
Correct. And we'll get into the specifics of what that involves in the next step. So, just like before, we have a callback. But instead of having just one parameter in that callback for the element, we also have something called the accumulator. This accumulator will change between each iteration of the array, and we can use it to keep track of what our reduced value is so far and manipulate it.
So the accumulator shows is a variable that shows how like where you are in the process of reducing this.
Correct.
Okay. I still don't love it, but I'm not screaming yet.
Cool.
Kira, this is such a good question. I'm going to save this to the end if it's not a bother.
I also encourage folks who are getting more familiar with callbacks to also try answering this question in the chat, that is. So when we start, accumulator will be 0. The element will be... No, you know what? I don't want to Python tutor us yet.
You're like,
0 plus...
some suffering. Let's go.
Let's say we've got these 3, 1, 2, and 3. So accumulator is 0. EL is 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. Next step, the accumulator is 1. The element is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. Now the accumulator is 3. The element is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So what we've done is added up all of these numbers.
Okay.
This works because... Oh, I love what Mehmet said here. Each returned value is assigned to the accumulator parameter. Perfect.
Okay. This makes sense. So like, hey, I've added 2 and 5. And now that I've added 2 and 5, that sits in the accumulator value. So that's
Correct.
returned, that goes to the accumulator. Then I'm going to add the next number, which is 3. Then boom, that's going to get the returned value, all 3 of them added together is going to be the accumulator, whereas we'll look to the next value.
Correct. Now here's the thing. I kind of lied to y'all. Reduce takes one parameter, which is a callback. Fantastic. But it can actually take 2 parameters. Not just a callback, but the initial value for the accumulator. Now you might be wondering, wait, why does this work? That's because if you don't provide that second parameter, JavaScript will be like, well, I guess they mean 0. Let's go with 0. But in other cases, you might want to, for example, start with an empty string or null or an empty array. In this case, we want to start with 0. Actually, let me take this, hop over to Python Tutor, and see this in action. So we've got our numbers.
I'm with you so far.
7, 5, and 4. Wait a second. This needs to be called numbers.
Oh, yes, it does. I was like, does it? You can name it any. Yes, it does.
So we've got numbers. 7, 5, and 4. First step, the accumulator, remember, is 0. And the element is 7. 0 plus 7 is 7. Return 7. Next step, the accumulator is 7. And the element is 5. We return 5 plus 7, which is 12.
So, that's going to sit in the accumulator.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm less freaked out about this than I could be.
12. Accumulator is 12. The last element is 4. 12 plus 4 is 16. And we know that because 7 plus 5 plus 4 is 16. We've just summed up the members of this array. How would we do this without reduce?
Yeah, okay, because Monica was asking a question that I had in my heart, which was like, hey, how would we write this without doing this? Because I hate it. I hate it less now that I've seen somebody so gracious and so patient explain it, but I still hate it a little.
This is another way of doing a reduce of summing. 12.
Okay.
16.
This is what I would have done. I think that there's nothing wrong with this. I think that this is a perfectly cromulent way to do things.
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought you were like, no, we're not doing it. But like, dang, that's a bit more abrupt than I had in my heart.
I like what Jane wrote here. I'm just picturing the accumulator
Mm.
as a bucket to put the running totals in as a function runs. Super helpful. Thank you.
This is like this whole boot camp is absolutely a group project because y'all just keep explaining this in like really sensible ways.
Super helpful. Thank you. Now, we have our sum. Now, we just need to calculate the mean, which remember is sum divided by
Divided
the
by
number of elements in the
array
array.
dot length.
Correct. Cool.
Yeah.
Now we just need to
Oh,
return mean.
and I think we're probably gonna have to like inject it into the right place in the DOM later, but that's not a huge deal. That we've done that before. It's fine.
Yeah. And what they're suggesting here is removing some variable assignments. We can just return array.reduce, do all of that, divided by array.length.
Okay. Oh. Oh.
I prefer variables, but that's me.
You
Hold
know
on.
what?
Implicit return. Implicit return. Implicit return being without the curly brackets
Yeah.
and without the return
And you don't have
statement.
to say
We've seen
return
this.
because
Yeah.
we have, but it hasn't sunk in for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, big pat.
Absolutely. So with arrow functions and arrow functions only, you can leave out the curly brackets and leave out the return to have what's called an implicit return. So whatever this expression evaluates to is the return value of this function. Now, for this next step, back in our calculate function, we're going to take the get mean numbers and assign it to this, whoopsie daisy, to this variable mean. Cool.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Last thing to do, query selector mean dot text content equals mean. So now we're going to make it display up here. Boom.
Huh. I still so this is actually like because we're not focusing too much on the maths
Yeah.
and it's giving us a step by step. This is kind of like easing up on the math sphere. Or Mehmet being so chill about math is possibly like a little contagious.
So we're done with the mean.
So if we test our form with a list of numbers, we should see it displayed on the page. But so this was a question we had
Oh yeah, from
way
Steven.
up from Steven. And Steven asked this really good question. So Steven was like, hey, there's like a submit feature. So this is a form, but we need to prevent that because a form by default will refresh the page. And we need to go ahead and make it not do its default behavior. What how do we do that again?
Well, I usually do it with event.prevent default,
Okay.
but it would appear that doing return false works as well.
Okay.
I'm not terribly stressed about this because I would usually not be calling functions like this.
Hmm. It's nice to know it's an option.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know
Sorry, I
what?
kind of jumped ahead.
No. How many calculations we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's like hustle through another one and see how much it can hurt us. So the median
I
is the number that's like in
we need to
the middle of the
sort the array, and then we need to get the one that's precisely in the middle.
or precisely like even if it's not a number that
Or I guess as close to the middle.
yeah.
Guess we'll find out. So first thing, we sort the arrays, sort the array and put it in sorted. Let's call, oh no, we're not calling this function yet. Never mind.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
let's console log nothing.
Now. Oh yeah,
Oh.
Check this out. Sort will by default convert the elements of the array into strings and then sort them alphabetically. Oh.
Oh, this sounds a little cursed. I love
Oh.
it. Okay, so the
Oh, this
first
is a
thing we're gonna do.
problem.
What?
Sorry, do you mind if I try something real quick?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
1, 11, no. 1, 2, 10, 30, and 9, and 90. Let's see that show up. So there's our array. What happens if we sort it? Check it out. It's 1, then 10, then 2, then 30, then 9, and then 90.
So we're gonna do this thing where we compare two of them and then push or move stuff up or down the stack depending on what's bigger between the two things we compare.
Correct. The reason for that because it's temporarily turning these values into strings and then comparing them alphabetically. Alphabetically, 10 is smaller than 2.
And almost all of our learners will have had a problem with this with like file naming, where you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 11 comes to sit under 1. So you say, okay, it's O1, O2. Yeah. 80 makes such a solid point saying, you know what, this is going to convert this into strings. And that's not what we need right here. This is not, we do need it to convert to strings. We don't have an option. But let's, so if, what?
So what we're doing here instead is taking that callback and returning the value of that first number. So it's comparing, for example, 1 and 2, and returning 1 minus 2. And you're like, wait, how does that work again? Don't
Right?
worry. I got you covered. Let's go back to MDN real quick. We did this towards the beginning of the boot camp, but I think it's always good
Yeah,
to
but
refresh.
I like rejected it on a very, very fundamental level. Oh,
So,
it's not minus. This is the syntax for this type of sort.
correct. So, if the return value is bigger than 0, then we put A after B. If it's less than 0, then we put A before B. And if they're the same, we keep the order. I'd recommend playing with this to understand how exactly it works. Unfortunately, I want to keep moving. We've sorted our numbers.
Okay. So we need to find the number in the middle of the list. Ooh. So if
Mhm.
the list has an odd set of numbers, the median, the middle. Oh, I think we're going to do an if else statement. I love an if else statement. So I'm going to say, wait, I'm not even going to look. I'm not going to look. So the best way to know if something's odd or even numbered in JavaScript is to use modulo. And if it has modulo 0, it's even.
Correct.
Sorry, I'm very rarely excited to get something right about math and JavaScript at the same time. So y'all are just letting me be happy.
Sorry, I was just
No,
answering
no.
a question.
So,
Um,
yeah, we'll declare a median variable, and then using the ternary operator, we're going to check to see if the length of the array is even. If it is
so
even, we're
ternary.
ternary. Oh, like a seabird.
So this is how we're going to check that it's even. Because the remainder of dividing a number by 2 is 0 when it's even and 1 when it's odd. Now, if it's even, then we will take. Well, what will we do?
If it's even, we're going to take those two numbers that are in the middle and then
Yep.
calculate the mean of those. So calculate the the value that would be equidistant.
Cool. How do we get those two middle numbers?
Uh we'll split the array in half and then get the one on the front and the bottom.
How do we split it in half?
Oh, yeah, no, I have no more answers. I came in really, really confident at the beginning,
No, I'm
and
sorry. I didn't mean to.
no,
I didn't mean to
look.
put you on the spot. I'm
No, no,
thinking
no.
out loud as well.
The nice thing about getting to a certain place in your being happy with yourself is I'll be wrong all day. Y'all literally cannot make me feel bad about being wrong. Oh, I don't think you would, but like it's fine. I don't know, but I'm super happy to logic this through with you.
Perfect.
Hmm.
I would say array.length divided by 2.
Yeah.
So we're taking the value of the array at the position array.length minus 2, divided by 2, pardon me. Don't know why it's giving me so many errors. We'll figure that out in a minute.
Oh, it doesn't like that space, does it? Oh,
Maybe
more
I'll
errors, not
put it
less.
in brackets.
Hmm. If you click on it, does it tell you what it doesn't like?
Oh, I know what it is. I forgot the question mark of the ternary operator.
Everything's fine.
Now we need the one after that. Oh, can I? Oh, free code camp. Can I just put? Can I please? Can I please just do this? Free code camp. May I please, pretty please? Plus, to get the average of the two, plus array middle index plus 1. And I'll put that in brackets and
No, you
divide it by
gotta you
2.
gotta you gotta take us with no, you gotta take us with you on there.
So let me hide the preview for a minute. If I want to get the average of these two numbers, the two middle numbers, I need to add them together. And I divide them by 2.
Will that actually work? We
That's,
haven't learned middle index yet, have we? I
I
mean,
mean,
it'll
I just
work.
made it up.
Oh, you just made it I was like, "Is this a super magic thing?" Okay, so
No.
what we're doing is we're saying, "Hey, we're cutting the length of the array in 2, and
Yep.
then then I want the array, the item that is found at this new middle index variable, which is where we've cut them into, and then I want the one next to it. So I want that
Mhm.
plus 1." Okay.
Now, if I want the middle number of the odd, then I'll just go with array middle index. I have no idea if this is going to work. Probably not. What's up?
Oh, array
Oh,
length divided by 2
array length divided by
minus
2.
1.
So I was, instead of going one further, I should have gone one back. Let's see if that works.
Okay.
It doesn't want my beautiful middle index.
I mean, to be fair, you do tend to add more variables than the free code camp tests want. And I'm with you. Like, I agree with you. I like additional variables, but I do kind of get why tests have a hard time with it. So the big thing for learners is there's multiple ways to get here, but sometimes the tests, because like if any of y'all have ever taught a class, grading papers kind of low key sucks. And grading hundreds of thousands of learners code, they've got to be pretty specific and say, "Hey, can you do it like we expect?" Because writing tests are hard.
It was a sorted one, not the
Oh,
array. That's my bad.
I mean, it's not actually bad. Okay, we've got one more. So if array dot length is even,
Oh, this is very finicky.
that's okay. So Mehmet's got us where we said, "Oh, we said sorted instead of array."
Yeah. This
Steven's
array should
saying
get.
maybe is it not sorted dot array dot length?
And the second should use the value at the index array.length divided by 2. So it is saying array.length. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
mess with that anymore. If
Oh,
array.length is
folks are
even,
saying,
which
do
we
we
have,
need math.floor in here to keep it from being a
it really does want that math.floor, huh?
yeah,
Fine. Is it though?
array?
Because I don't see any mention of math.floor.
So
Uh, don't like this. I mean, I'll do it. I'm not going to be happy about it.
do you know what? This is gonna sound really monstrous, and I almost never recommend this, but do you know what might be really good for us?
I agree.
Oh, what are you gonna say?
I want to skip step 23 and see what it looks
Oh,
like.
don't you teach those babbies bad habits. I was gonna
No.
do something that's bad for us.
What's that?
Let's delete the new code we've written,
Okay.
talk it out loud, and just try one more time.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is very sensible.
Okay, so this is where we started last time. Um,
Pass an
if it's
array.
even. I think we might need an if else as well.
Oh
Or
my
does that help?
gosh. No, I need to learn to read. If I want to get the average of two numbers, I already have a function for that.
Oh, pass it to the get mean function. Pass it to the get mean function. Ah.
That makes
Uh,
more sense.
Everything's fine. And what a fantastic way to demonstrate that sometimes everything's stressful. Do you know what I'm going to drop into the chat is something I should have brought in really, really early. And the thing is I don't want to recommend things for the learners that cost money. Um, but I'm going to go get Barbara Oakley does this course called Learning How to Learn, and I really, really like it. And this is it's not specifically about programming, but it kind of is. So it's really about like, hey, let's think about this. Let's look. If we didn't get it by deleting our code, the thing I was going to suggest next is let's go ahead and wrap up for the day and think about it and come back. So let's apply diffuse thinking. Let's daydream and rest and see if the problem makes more sense tomorrow. Oh, they were right about that math.floor though, huh?
There we go.
This is a very,
This,
very
sorry.
oh, no, you're actually gonna say something important.
No, the reason we need math floor here is because if we divide, remember, if it's an odd length, then it's array.length divided by 2. If our length is 5, we're going to get 2.5. So we need to bring it back to
To floor.
2.
I was gonna actually brag. So, do you know that Barbara Oakley and Zach Caceres came and talked to a past boot camp, and they were very, very cool?
They're
I
so
mean, you
cool.
did because you were there as well. I'll grab the video for that as
Mhm.
well. And they talked to us specifically about learning programming skills, which was so neat.
So we're going to return median in this step. And they're saying, hey, you know what? We could condense the code into one line, but sometimes it's important to remember that shorter code is not always better code.
Ooh, like maybe,
I
I
would
don't
go.
know, hypothetically putting in a bunch of variables is how you wanna live.
I would even go with like an if statement.
Ooh, I love
Like,
because it does say if.
yeah, I mean, we have our ternary. Like if arrayed on length, then we return the get mean. Otherwise, we return the middle one. Now, we're going to do median equals get median numbers. Whoops.
Okay, so this isn't so bad.
No, this is
And then we're
actually
gonna
pretty copy
query the
paste.
DOM. We're gonna go ask the DOM, "Hey, do you have this median element? And then could you go ahead and put the median variable's value there?"
In its text content.
Ah,
So 2, 9, 15, 2, 5, and Florencia, the median is 5.
do you know what?
What's that?
I'm going to make so if anybody has any other questions they wanna ask us about this, I wanna make sure that we're not doing every single one of these for the learners, so I might suggest we
Mhm.
wrap up for today.
Cool.
Um, ooh, what's crueler? Would it be crueler to give them homework in the middle or leave them homework at the end?
I would say let's pick up tomorrow from doing the mode
Mm.
and see how far we get.
Even though we'll end early before we do the whole thing. We
So
can't we can't do the whole thing for folks, like, we'll keep them from learning, it won't be fair.
I agree. Um, Wait. There's a small bug I noticed that if you type a comma at the end of your numbers, it adds an empty string to the array, which affects the calculations. Interesting.
Good news,
Let's
if you see a bug, I'm gonna go get
let me go back to that step real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Console log array. So you're saying, Stephen, that if we're splitting these up by commas, and if I put an extra comma at the end, we get an extra string. And you're probably wondering why. That's because it splits.
And creates an extra value after the comma because 'cause you've said, "Hey, each comma" it's a comma
Yeah.
separated value. So,
Yep.
I expect a value after this comma, and an empty string is what I'm gonna put for a value with nothing in it. Not a
Correct.
0, but like, that's interesting. And then does an empty string turn into a 0 when we turn it into numbers?
Let's find out.
Ooh,
So,
that's an exciting bug.
so I mean, it's probably with JavaScript and this sort of thing, it's probably a feature, which I apologize for. Um,
I love how
and
you're
it's
holding
just
yourself personally responsible for JavaScript.
yeah, I don't even have an excuse to give for JavaScript. It's just JavaScript being JavaScript.
Um, you're
Uh,
right, it is a bug. Oh, wait, go back. Do you so extra credit's not real in this class, but do you know what might be really, really cool is thinking about what kind of logic you could translate into what kind of code to prevent this error in the wild. So, okay, I
ooh,
know that if I have a comma, that I have a brutal feeling that it might be more regular expression magic to fix that.
it likely will.
Ugh.
So, how would we select the space that doesn't have a comma before it? So you're saying, what if we have a bunch of spaces before the 2? I mean, a bunch of spaces in a 2 is still a 2.
But, like, what if I wanted to and if I wanted to separate this based on spaces, I could change the, um,
Remove the comma.
regular expression and there's, like, a special character for space, I just forget what it is. Oh, it's
This
that
one
S.
here.
Yeah. Oh, so we could split on that S. We could split on spaces instead.
Correct.
Cool.
Sorry.
No. I was excited for this question. I was just like, I also want this question.
Good news. There's an MDN for it.
Ah,
Let me just paste that into the chat. Now, why is it called a callback?
or why
I
is
can't.
the one inside of map considered a callback?
So a callback, let's look at the definition of a callback. A callback is a function that's passed into another function as an argument. If we look at map, that's exactly what we're doing. Map is a function that takes a function as an argument.
Okay,
This is called a
so
callback.
even though it's sort of like a like the format for map already exists, it's like a method, but it's
Yep.
still a callback function because even though it's a type of function that's built into JavaScript, it's still a function.
Yeah.
I think I get really muddy on what's a method and what's a function. I feel like the terms all run together. Does that
Yeah.
just stop hurting after a while?
It varies from programming language to programming language. Here's the thing.
No, you
Here's
looked
the
up
thing.
and to the left before you answered that. You didn't even answer that, and it was still a lie. You were like, "Oh, it depends." That's a
I like
no.
this.
Uh,
This is a very good explanation from Steven. So, it's in my opinion, Stephen B. I agree. All methods are functions, and not all functions are methods. So we've been sometimes Sean got it.
I
We've been
thought, like,
calling
Monk's methods were built in functions.
yeah, but built into what? Strings have built-in functions called methods. We've been doing some of them like not length, split,
Split.
match, arrays have a bunch of them. Map, filter, reduce. Those are all methods. Methods are functions that are built into a class or an
Okay,
object.
respectfully, this is worse, not better. Uh,
We're
hang
not
on.
going to talk about classes yet.
All methods are functions, but not all functions are methods. We are going to do the monstrous thing and abstract the rest of it away for now. So we've
Correct.
previewed that there are deep, terrible monsters out in the far dark seas. But for now, we are on the beach. Actually, we're not on the beach. We're like paddling along, aren't we? Um, and they can't hurt us yet. We should do like an intermediate course where it's all sea monster themed. And by we, I mean you. You're like, oh, like a sea
Sounds
monster.
fun.
I like a sea monster.
Let's look at this last one from Jane. So why does naming the parameters a and b stop the function from thinking of the numbers as strings? And actually, I don't even have to answer it because Stephen B already did. When we don't pass a callback to the sort function, let me just bring up the sort function. When we don't pass a callback to this to the let me try that again. When we don't pass a callback to the sort function, it runs its own default one. And what it does is convert each pair of values into strings and compare them.
So what we're doing when we give it a callback is we're sort of saying prevent default. So the
In a way.
default behavior is saying, I'm going to turn you into a string and sort you alphabetically. And when we give it specific instructions, we say, don't turn it into a string, don't sort it alphabetically, do this other stuff instead. So um, the sort function, if it's left to its own devices, like the sort function automatically wants to turn it into a string and sort it alphabetically. But once you say, hey, wait, I have different plans, it doesn't think of these as strings.
Correct. The default sort function is going to turn them into strings, do its own thing. So, as Stephen B. said here, the reason was explained to me that the default sort function that you don't see converts the inputs into strings. When you write a custom callback function and pass it to sort, that stringify moment doesn't happen. And it's exactly
Oh,
right.
okay. So, like, hey, we know we've got some default behavior you'd love to do, but we're not going to do them.
We're going to do our own thing.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of doing our own thing, let's talk about homework because our learners have no steps for homework tonight. What?
Nope.
So let's give them double homework that's good for them. You want to give them the
What does
standard
it
homework
involve?
and I'll give them like even more homework?
So I want folks to take it easy. Get lots of rest. Go easy on yourselves. Remember, if something's not clicking, don't get frustrated because none of this is meant to click immediately.
I, as your mean teacher, if you've got the time and if you've got the energy, can you show the other learners? I see people saying they're behind. Babies, you're not behind. There's no hurry. We're not going anywhere without you. We're not going anywhere. But as your additional bonus homework, please, in the general channel in the Discord, if you're in there with us, you don't have to be, can you please drop something that you found interesting or delightful
Ooh.
recently that has nothing to do with programming? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look for something to share.
Oh, no, I'm gonna send you outside to play until you have more joyful things that are not programming. So just it can be, "Oh, I was out yesterday and saw a really nice dog," or, "Oh, I've just learned about deep sea vent biomes," which, by the way, is mine, don't steal it. Uh, I'm really into deep sea vent biomes. I'm cool.
Love it.
So just give us something interesting or something that made you excited that you've seen recently that's not programming, just so we can like calm down and catch up and just be weird little gremlins in the chat together.
Sounds good.
I'll let y'all go. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.